Let's start with our first news. Arman has addressed the confusion surrounding his upcoming RAF 10 matchup with Tony Ferguson and his unclear role as the backup fighter for the UFC White House main event between Ilya and Justin Gaethje. He said he's already booked to compete in 2 weeks against Tony Ferguson, and his schedule is full until September, so nothing is officially confirmed yet. The interviewer asked whether he is actually the backup fighter for the White House main event or not. He responds with uncertainty, mentioning wrestling on June 13th and saying he will see how things develop. He clarifies he is a backup, but expects the main fight to proceed and says he will wait for his chance. He confirms he does not need to weigh in and fly for UFC White House while still competing in RAF. He emphasized timing is only 2 weeks left and believes the organization will proceed with the scheduled bout, so he will stay ready, but not cut weight for travel. The interviewer then confirmed that he would not need to weigh in and immediately fly for the White House card if he stays committed to RAF duties. He replied clearly that he will continue with RAF and will not interrupt his training or schedule for backup obligations, keeping his focus on his current fight commitments. Overall, the situation highlights ongoing confusion about his backup status for the White House main event, but he insists he is focused on his immediate fight and preparation schedule. He made it clear that no weigh-in travel commitment will happen, and he will not split attention between organizations at this stage, choosing instead to stay prepared for his confirmed RAF bout and wait for any future official announcement from UFC regarding backup duties period. Move on to another news. Charles Oliveira has openly addressed his respect for Conor McGregor while also maintaining interest in a future fight with him. Despite wanting to face him inside the octagon, he made it clear that Conor's impact on MMA cannot be ignored, especially in how he helped turn the sport into a global mainstream phenomenon. Recently, in an interview with Aviator Scribe, Charles was shown a series of images, including a moment of Conor wearing a fur coat at a press conference while engaging with fans. Reacting to the picture, Charles spoke with honesty, saying Conor is someone he admires for what he has done for the sport, even if he does not agree with everything he says or the way he promotes fights. He described Conor as a fighter who understands how to bring attention, build hype, and elevate MMA to the very top level. Charles also noted that while he respects the promotional side, he personally does not like the constant trash talk or behavior outside the cage. Still, he acknowledged that Conor changed the game and helped fighters earn bigger opportunities and global recognition, making MMA more visible than ever before. Speaking further about Conor, it is also mentioned that he is currently booked to face Max Holloway at UFC 329 on July 11th, a matchup that has already drawn major attention from fans. Reports also claim that Conor continues to be one of the most tested athletes under the UFC anti-doping program, showing the level of scrutiny around his return. The fight buildup is expected to be massive, with both names carrying huge legacy status in the sport. Conor's presence alone continues to generate headlines, ticket demand, and global interest, reinforcing his role as one of the biggest draws in MMA history. Overall, Charles's comments highlight a balance between respect and criticism, recognizing Conor's influence while still standing firm on his personal opinions about personality and promotion style. His admiration remains focused on impact rather than behavior, showing how deeply Conor's career has shaped the modern MMA landscape. His continued presence in discussions around elite matchups keeps him at the center of UFC media coverage and fan debate across divisions, further strengthening his long-standing reputation as a global attraction in combat sports. His influence extends beyond fighting, shaping promotion trends and athlete marketability worldwide, continuing to impact MMA globally. Move on to another news. Merab was present at the press conference ahead of his upcoming fight with Frankie Edgar later today, and things got heated when a reporter brought up a potential matchup involving Umar Nurmagomedov. The question clearly did not sit well with him, and his reaction immediately shifted the tone of the room. The reporter asked whether, if O'Malley manages to knock out Zahabi at the White House event and somehow skips over Merab for a title shot, would he be willing to accept a #1 contender fight against Umar Nurmagomedov instead? Merab stopped the question instantly and asked for it to be repeated, clearly confused and irritated by the direction it was going. When the reporter clarified the scenario again, suggesting a possible bypass for a title shot and a replacement contender fight, Merab's patience quickly ran out. He responded with frustration, questioning the logic of the situation and saying, "What kind of question is this?" He made it clear that his focus is entirely on his current rivalry emphasizing that he is already locked into a major storyline involving Peterin. He pointed out that their series is tied at 1 win each, and the rivalry is not finished. According to him, there is already unfinished business that demands attention inside the cage, and that is where his focus remains. Merab stressed that the priority is the trilogy fight, insisting that the narrative between him and Peterin is far from over. He reminded everyone that he lost their last encounter and that a third fight is necessary to settle everything once and for all. His tone suggested he was not interested in hypothetical matchups or alternate contender discussions, while such an important rivalry is still active. As the question continued to linger, Merab grew even more blunt, cutting through the speculation entirely. In a moment of raw honesty and irritation, he dismissed the idea of Umar Nurmagomedov being relevant to his immediate plans, snapping back with a heated remark questioning the relevance of the matchup altogether. The press room reacted immediately to the intensity of his response, as his frustration made it clear that he is fully locked in on his current opponent and storyline, not distracted by outside calls or hypothetical fights being thrown into the conversation. Overall, the moment highlighted Merab's no-nonsense mentality, his focus on existing rivalries, and his unwillingness to entertain distractions while preparing for one of the biggest fights of his current run. Move on to another news. A positive health update has emerged regarding Strickland after his recent fight with Khamzat, where he suffered an injury that initially raised concerns he might require surgery. Early reports had suggested a potentially serious shoulder issue, but the latest evaluation has brought much better news for the fighter and his camp. Sean recently shared a video from a medical clinic recommended by Joe Rogan, where specialists conducted a detailed assessment of his condition. The medical team reviewed his MRI scans and performed further examination to understand the severity of the injury. During the consultation, the doctor explained that Sean had an AC separation along with a small tear in one of the muscles in his shoulder. Despite the diagnosis sounding serious at first, the specialists clarified that the damage was not severe enough to require surgery. Instead, they proposed a recovery plan focused on non-invasive treatment methods. They used ultrasound imaging to further analyze the injury and confirmed the presence of a small tear, pointing directly to the affected area on the scan. The doctor noted that while there is a visible gap in the shoulder structure, it remains minor and manageable without surgical intervention. Sean reacted to the findings with visible relief, confirming that although the injury exists, it is very small and not as serious as initially feared. He mentioned that he was told surgery would not be necessary, which was a major relief considering the concerns after the fight. The proposed treatment plan includes stem cell therapy aimed at accelerating healing and restoring shoulder function. The medical staff assured him that with proper recovery work, he should be able to return to full condition without long-term issues. Cian also expressed confidence in the clinic, mentioning that Joe Rogan personally recommended the facility and trusts their approach. He joked about being turned into a bionic man through treatment and recovery, showing a lighter attitude despite the injury. He added that he is in good hands and appreciated the support from the medical team, who assured him they would help get him fully recovered and back to training. The atmosphere in the clinic appeared positive, as the specialists encouraged him through the process and reinforced that his condition is treatable. Overall, the update brings reassurance that Sean's injury is not as severe as feared, and with ongoing therapy and recovery treatment, he is expected to make a full return without undergoing surgery, keeping his comeback timeline much more optimistic. Move on to another news. Carlos Prates has shared his perspective on what he believes is the real secret to defeating Islam Makhachev, offering insight during a recent conversation with Henry Cejudo and Kamaru Usman. In the discussion, Prates broke down what he sees as the biggest challenge when facing the reigning champion and current dominant force in the division. According to Prates, the key to beating Makhachev is not simply about defending takedowns or preventing them altogether. While he acknowledges that takedown defense is important, he believes the real problem fighters face is what happens after they get taken down. In his view, the ability to get back to your feet is what truly separates success from failure against someone like Islam. He explained that against Makhachev, winning on points is extremely difficult, and trying to out-grapple him is not a realistic path for most fighters. Prates emphasized that finishing the fight is essential, stating that you are not likely to submit Islam unless you manage to take his back in a very rare and high-level position. For him, the most realistic concern is survival on the ground and the ability to escape bad positions quickly. He stressed that the biggest question in any matchup with Makhachev is whether a fighter can consistently get back up after being grounded. That ability, he believes, is more important than simply avoiding the takedown itself. Without it, fighters will struggle to impose their game or create meaningful offense. Prates also revealed that he is preparing his training specifically with Makhachev in mind. He said he is already adjusting his camp, focusing more heavily on grappling work and bringing in training partners from Brazil to simulate high-level pressure and ground control situations. His goal is to replicate the exact conditions he would face in a real fight against Islam. He added that even if training partners or opponents change during camp, it does not matter, as the focus remains on preparing for elite grappling exchanges. The mindset is to be ready for any scenario, especially the constant threat of being taken down and controlled. Outside of training, Prates was also seen enjoying time in Amsterdam, where he posted a video of himself partying alongside Glory double champion Chikaraski, showing a more relaxed side away from fight preparations. Overall, his message highlighted a strategic approach focused less on avoiding the ground entirely and more on mastering the ability to recover and stand back up under pressure, which he believes is the real key to surviving against Islam Makhachev. Move on to another news. Colby Covington was also in attendance at the press conference, continuing to draw attention following his recent retirement from the UFC. Despite stepping away from the UFC stage, he is now scheduled to face Chris Weidman tonight at RAF 9, keeping himself active in the combat sports spotlight. During the event, Colby took the opportunity to address what he described as Khamzat Chimaev's ongoing struggles with making weight and maintaining professionalism. He did not hold back in his criticism, using the platform to highlight what he believes are weaknesses in Khamzat's overall preparation and fight discipline. Colby also expressed clear interest in a potential matchup with Khamzat under the RAF banner, suggesting that a wrestling-based contest would be the most fitting way to settle their differences. He claimed that he would have little trouble handling Khamzat due to what he sees as his inconsistent cardio and inability to maintain a strong pace over time. When asked about Khamzat's recent weight cut issues and whether those struggles could translate into a wrestling environment, Colby responded with confidence and intensity. He stated that this has always been, in his words, the biggest weakness in Khamzat's game, pointing to moments where he believes Khamzat slows down significantly after an explosive start. Colby emphasized that Khamzat tends to come out aggressively in the first round, but struggles to maintain that same output as the fight progresses. He insisted that if they ever meet on the RAF mat, he would break him, making it clear that he expects to dominate any extended grappling exchanges. He further added that the most dangerous part of the fight for Khamzat would be the opening 6 minutes, which he described as the toughest period of his entire career if they were to compete. The interviewer also brought up Colby's past nickname for Khamzat and the intensity of their rivalry, asking whether their conflict could realistically be settled through wrestling, or if it would require a full MMA fight. Colby responded by saying that a fight could have happened earlier, but Khamzat failed to make weight and was unprofessional, which prevented it from materializing. He concluded by stating that the best way to settle the rivalry now would be on the RF platform, emphasizing that Khamzat considers himself one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. Colby suggested that the biggest and most respected wrestling organization would be the ideal stage to finally resolve the matchup and determine who truly stands above the other in pure grappling competition. Move on to another news. Eddie Hearn has once again taken aim at Dana White, this time making a bold proposal involving UFC heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall. Following Aspinall's recent management agreement with Matchroom Talent Agency, Hearn argued that if Dana truly wants what is best for his fighters, he should allow Aspinall to pursue bigger financial opportunities outside the UFC. Speaking during a recent interview, Hearn referenced past comments involving fighter pay and suggested that promoters should always support athletes earning the maximum amount possible. He pointed to previous discussions about fighters receiving larger paydays elsewhere and questioned why the same logic should not apply to Aspinall. Hearn then made his most attention-grabbing statement, saying he would like Dana White to release Aspinall from his UFC contract. According to Hearn, he would be willing to guarantee in writing that Aspinall would earn significantly more money under his banner. He claimed the heavyweight champion could make at least 3 times and potentially 5 times what he is currently earning. He continued by praising Aspinall as a hard-working athlete who puts his body on the line every time he competes. In Hearn's view, fighters who sacrifice so much deserve every opportunity to maximize their earnings and secure their future. He argued that a fighter of Aspinall's caliber should be rewarded accordingly, and that any promoter should be pleased to see an athlete receive a better financial deal. However, the comments quickly sparked a major reaction throughout the MMA community. Rather than generating sympathy, many fans pushed back strongly against both the proposal and the ongoing discussions surrounding Aspinall's career situation. Several fans criticized what they see as constant complaints from Aspinall's team over the past several months. Some argued that a heavyweight champion should focus on proving himself inside the cage rather than seeking public sympathy. Others questioned whether Aspinall has the level of star power necessary to generate massive revenue outside the UFC. The criticism became even harsher as some fans dismissed his drawing ability altogether, claiming he lacks the mainstream appeal needed to become a major attraction in combat sports. Others suggested that moving into boxing would expose him to difficult matchups and create new challenges outside his comfort zone. As the debate continued online, reactions remained divided between those supporting fighter pay and those criticizing the public campaign surrounding Aspinall's future. Despite the growing discussion, Aspinall has not publicly responded to Hearn's proposal or the wave of criticism that followed. For now, the situation remains unresolved, but the comments have once again fueled intense debate about fighter compensation, promotional freedom, and the future of one of MMA's top heavyweight champions.